What do you actually know about Sharia? Be honest with yourself for a second, because if you're like most people, including many Muslims, what you know about Sharia came from a news headline, a political debate, or maybe a social media post that made you angry. Today, we're clearing all of that up. I'm going to tell you what Sharia actually is, where it comes from, what it covers, and why the version you've probably been sold looks almost nothing like the real thing. My name is Mohammed. I run Path to Islam, and I've spent years helping people understand Islam the way it was actually meant to be understood, not the way fear sells it. Let's start with the word. Sharia comes from Arabic. The root of the word refers to the path to water. Stop and think about that image for a second. In ancient Arabia, a land of deserts and heat, water wasn't just valuable. It was everything. The difference between life and death. The tribe that knew the path to water survived. Everyone else didn't. When early Muslims chose this word for divine guidance, they weren't choosing the word for law, or punishment, or control. They chose the word for a lifeline. That is the image at the heart of Sharia. A path to what keeps you alive. Now let's talk about what's actually in Sharia, because this is where the biggest gap between perception and reality sits. Most people think Sharia is primarily a criminal justice system. Cutting off hands, harsh punishments, strict, oppressive rules. But that's maybe 5 to 10% of what Sharia actually covers. Here's the breakdown. The largest portion of Sharia is about personal worship, prayer, fasting, giving charity, the pilgrimage to Mecca. These are personal acts of devotion between a Muslim and God. No courts, no enforcement. Just a person and their creator. Then there's personal ethics. How you treat your parents. How you speak to your neighbors. How you handle anger. How you show patience in difficulty. This is moral guidance, not legal code. Then family law. Marriage, divorce, inheritance, child custody. Sharia built detailed protections for families, especially women and children, at a time in history when those protections barely existed anywhere in the world. Then economic ethics. Sharia prohibits deception, fraud, and interest-based lending that exploits the poor. It demands honesty in every business transaction. And then, yes, criminal law. A portion of Sharia deals with serious crimes. This is the piece that gets pulled out in every headline. But here's what those headlines never tell you. The standards of evidence in Islamic criminal law are among the strictest ever written. Doubt nullifies punishment. Coercion invalidates confession. Context, like poverty, can suspend application entirely. Let me tell you a story that captures this perfectly. Umar ibn al-Khattab was the second caliph of Islam, one of the most respected leaders in Islamic history. During a year of terrible famine, people were stealing food to survive. Under the criminal portions of Sharia, theft carries a serious punishment. Umar suspended that punishment. His reasoning: when people steal because they're starving, that's not a moral failure. That's desperation. And a just system responds to context, not just to action. That decision came directly from his understanding of what Sharia was meant to do. Protect people, not punish them for being human in difficult circumstances. That's not a brutal system. That's a profoundly human one. Now let's talk about the elephant in the room. Yes, there are governments around the world that claim to operate under Sharia. And yes, some of those governments do terrible things. But here's the critical truth. Calling something Sharia doesn't make it Sharia. Some of what gets labeled Sharia is cultural tradition, not Islamic law. Some of it is political manipulation, leaders using religious language to justify power. Some of it is the product of extremist interpretations that mainstream Islamic scholarship has rejected for centuries. The same logic applies to anything. Calling a government democratic doesn't make it a democracy. Calling an economic policy fair doesn't make it just. When you see injustice done in the name of Sharia, ask who benefits from that label. because it usually isn't the people being harmed. So here's where I want to leave you. You don't have to agree with Sharia. That's completely your right. But if your current opinion was built on headlines, political speeches, or social media content designed to make you afraid, then your opinion isn't actually based on Sharia. It's based on a version of Sharia that was built to serve someone else's agenda. The real Sharia, the one built over 14 centuries of careful scholarship, is a path to water, a path to life, justice, mercy, and divine guidance. That's worth at least one honest look. If this video gave you something to think about, hit that like button and share it with someone who's been asking about Islam. I post new content every week on Path to Islam, breaking down Islamic concepts simply and honestly. Subscribe so you don't miss it. And I'll see you in the next one.